Thank you very much for making it to this lecture this evening. I do hope that you enjoy it. I strongly suspect you will enjoy it. I first heard Lakhani speak up at York University at a conference for the World Community for Christian Meditation, and he was very humorous at the time and very captivating. He speaks on a topic, religion and spirituality, which is a very contemporary topic of immediate interest to both you and I. And I think you'll find him most enjoyable indeed. He brings his Hindu faith into account, even as he studies the laws of physics. He's a teacher of Hinduism at schools, colleges, and universities, and he's the Hindu tutor at Eton. He has a master's degree in quantum physics, and he makes routine contributions on the issue of spirituality and religion. He's been in the BBC very much as of late on BBC Radio 4. This is the first of 3 religion and humanity lectures celebrating the 150th anniversary of the chapel. On the 30th of January, we have retired Archbishop of Canterbury, Lord Carey of Clifton. Archbishop George Carey will be here speaking to us. And on the 1st of May, our very own head of the art department, Edward Tukig, will be speaking to us about Archbishop Benson and his contribution to this chapel, in which you find yourselves currently seated and awaiting a fantastic lecture from Jay. Enough from me, Jay. Thank you.
Good evening, guys. You see, you may wonder, Hinduism, even as a Hindu I can say this without any hesitation, appears to be a weird religion. With so many gods and goddesses, some with elephant heads, some with 6 arms. You may think, how can this religion have anything to contribute towards the dialogue of religion and science? You will be quite surprised. And yet, what appears to be a weird religion holds the key, holds the prescription of how a multitude of religious worldviews can coexist with dignity, as well as how you can build bridges between what is called a secular lobby and what is sometimes termed as a religious lobby. This is where I stand. Now, before I start and go into esoteric ideas of Hinduism and quantum mechanics and send you to sleep, let me start on a lighter note. The first, anybody who encounters Hinduism, the first thing that will come to their mind is that this religion seems to have so many gods. And they're almighty. Something is seriously wrong here. If you ask Hindu, do you have many gods? They say, show me your many gods. Are they almighty? Yes, they're almighty. All of them? Yes, all of them. Are they ultimate? Of course they're ultimate. But then a contradiction arises. You can't have too many ultimates because that is not ultimate enough. So what is going on? Is this religion a naive polytheist tradition, believe in lots of almighty gods? Despite appearances and despite what the Hindus might tell you, this religion is not a polytheist enterprise. It's not a naive, just way of life. It is a very mature, a very majestic, very ancient system of thought, which can best be classified as a pluralistic tradition. Not many gods, but many ways to God, or many ways to becoming spiritual. You say, well, at this time of the evening, we don't want new words to be thrown in our face, pluralism. How do we explain this to little children? And I do this quite often. I'm invited to lots of primary schools, and I have a lot of Christian children sitting cross-legged saying, Mr. Lakhani, tell us about Hinduism. I said, before I start, my chaps, I want to ask you one question. Do you like to think of God like your Father in heaven? And they all look at each other. What a tricky question. Of course, we are Christian. God is our Father in heaven. Why is asking silly questions like that? I said, it's a marvelous idea. Many Hindus too like to think of God like spirituality in this personified manner, like a father figure in heaven. What a marvelous idea. I said, many Hindus also like to think like that. But you see this little chap in the corner? He keeps tugging my sleeve. He says, I don't want God to be my daddy. So why not? Why can't God be your daddy? No, I don't want God to be my daddy. What's your problem? I said, what's your problem? He See, because last night when I was having supper, some food fell accidentally on the floor, and my daddy saw it. He stood up in the from the dining room and said, "Naughty boy, no supper, no TV, go to your room." And I started to cry. And my mommy came in the room, and my mommy saw me crying and said, "Come here, my baby." And she gave me a hug, and then she gave me a jam donut. So they said, "Why should I think God like my father in heaven? Daddies are so rough and tough and so hairy. Why can't I think God like my mommy in heaven, sweet and kind and cuddly, and hopefully less hairy than daddies?" I said, "My boy, you like to think God like your mother in heaven? Go for it. God is your mommy in heaven." This is called pluralism. Pluralism means simple language, simple metaphor. You can approach the idea of the ultimate in variety of different ways, depending on your own temperament. Now, why is this such an important message that comes right out of Hinduism? Because it offers us a prescription of how people of many different religions can coexist with dignity and without having to thump each other. You say, how is that possible? Again, I use silly, like a childish story to present to you some very deep vision of Hinduism. There were two boys, best of friends, playing football, kicking the ball about, and while they're doing this, one said, "You know what? My mom is the best in the world." Boys like that. They say, "Your mom is best in the world?" Rubbish. "My mom is best in the world. She cooks the best food." There is something primitive about boys, mommies, and food. "My mommy cooks the best food." I said, "Your mommy cooks the best food? You brought those homemade cakes last week. They were like rocks. You could break a window with those. Your mommy's cooking is rubbish." If you tell any boy of any age that their mommy's cooking is suspect, it is the beginning of World War III. Boys are boys. They like to solve differences physically. So they both roll up their sleeves. "I told you my mommies." They start thumping, whacking each other. They both love their mommies. They're thumping each other. The wise man passing me says, "What's your problem?" "I told you my mommies." "Okay, calm down, both of you," says the wise man. "Let me give you a prescription. Say with all the love and devotion you can muster, 'My mommy is best.' But then add two magic words at the end of the sentence. And boys like Harry Potter and magic. They say, "What magic words?" Say with all the love and devotion you can muster, 'My mom is best for me.'" The boy said, "That's exactly what we meant. My mommy doesn't know this chap exists even." In 2 ticks, they become best of friends and start playing football again. The differences are gone in 2 ticks. Now you may think this is like kind of funny story, but it carries a very potent message, very powerful message. It tells people of different religions, assert with all the love and devotion, my religion or my movement within my religion is the best. But add those magic words at the end of your sentence, "For me and my congregation," not necessarily for the rest of humanity. Learn to be humble. This comes out of pluralism. Many pathways for exploring spirituality, many pathways for discovering spirituality. Let it be so. Allow humanity to unfold spiritually in the mode that suits their own temperament. If you can help somebody progress from where they are, kindly do so. Otherwise, stand aside. Don't interfere. This is the lovely thing that My Mom is the Best presents this deep vision of pluralism for modern world, and it is a very powerful message. I've been giving this to so many universities, so many theological colleges, and even though this challenges the exclusivist claim of any religion, people who think for themselves immediately recognize the potency of this message, because it doesn't tell you to water down your faith. It says the faith that appeals to you, agrees with your digestion system, hang on to it and take it to its conclusion. Don't fight about the prescription. Everybody has got their own mommy. Don't impose your mommy on them. This is what I'm telling you. Now, this message of pluralism is very vast. It doesn't just stop at trying to reconcile a variety of religious views. It goes a stage forward. It says you can make spiritual progress in a theistic mode, means belief in a super personality called theos. If that appeals to you, that's your background, your culture, your family. If it appeals to you, carry on. If you like, progressing spiritually in a theistic mode, reference to a theos, to link up with, to worship, to build up friendship, relationship with, fine. It says you can make spiritual progress in a non-theistic manner. You may say, non-theistic? You never heard that? Oh, you did. You had a Buddhist speaker here some time back. Buddhism is a major world discipline, a major world religion that does not require a creator God. It is addressing the human condition here and now, and say you can be spiritual without reference to a theos. Non-theistic religion. India has produced two majestic religions which are non-theistic. One is, of course, Buddhism. The other one is, perhaps you not even heard the name, Jainism. They don't have a creator God. But the Hindu tradition too allows a Hindu to progress spiritually in a non-theistic mode. Forget all these gods and goddesses, keep them on the back burner. You can be spiritual without reference to a theos in the Hindu tradition. This is very dramatic stuff and very suited for the modern society and the modern world we live in. He says, my friends, what you are searching for in the highest heaven as this theos, as God, is not sitting there, is very much here and now. The thing that is looking at me through all these eyes now is essentially the same thing you are searching in the highest heaven. The thing that lights up all of this living kingdom and all of this humanity is essentially the same thing you are searching for in the highest heaven. You are essentially that. It's your essential nature. Spirit, God is your essential nature. This is a very dramatic thing to say. Because look, I come from the physics lab and I'm going to bring physics in as we go along. It's a very dramatic statement to pass, that the underpinning to humanity, underpinning to living kingdom is essentially something dramatically non-material, which we define, the nearest English word is spirit. Now you see, so far so good. In fact, I interact with lots of Christian theologians. I teach at Oxford Theology Department, at Canterbury Christ Church. And the Christian theologians, Jay, we like your pluralism, we can live with it, because it sounds very interesting, sounds mature. But this is going out of control now. You are equating us to God. This is blasphemy. We don't look like God. We don't smell like God. In fact, we are stinkers. And you are saying you are God. This is too much. You can't take us that far. So deliberately to lighten up a very serious theme, I present again a little story. Let me tell you the power of metaphor, the power of narrative. Narrative is a very powerful way of putting across very subtle ideas in a digestible form. Every field will use narrative, including physics. Physics is a narrative too. Every field will use a narrative. I'm using a very childish narrative, but the idea that you are essentially God. It sounds like an arrogant comment, blasphemy. Surely you are equating yourself to God. This is too much. Let me do a funny story. A 5-year-old Hindu boy came to the Hinduism class. What's all, my boy? Today you are going to learn esoteric Hinduism, the specialized, the philosophic Hinduism, not the gods and goddesses and temples and worship. Esoteric, philosophic Hinduism. Like it or not, believe it or not, my boy, what you are searching for the highest heaven is your essential nature. You are that. And the little boy I thought I was just a goody, but this man is telling me I'm God. Things are improving for me dramatically here. The boy went to an arrogant mood. I thought there was something special about me. He's telling me I'm God. Good stuff here. He went into an arrogant mood, went home, went to the kitchen. But the Hindu mom is cooking like as usual. He opened the cupboard, took out the most expensive piece of crockery reserved for their special visitor from Manchester. He waved that plate in front of his mommy and said, "Watch, mommy, look." And he dropped it. The plate fell on the floor and broke into 1,000 pieces. The Hindu mommy, normally brown in color, turned pink. Then she turned red. Then she lifted her arm and came near the boy. The boy took his hand out of the pocket. "Stop, mommy, stop," said the boy, "stop." "Mommy," asked the boy, "do you know who I am?" The cheeky fellow comes in, breaks plates, and says, "Who am I?" "Who are you?" she asked. "Mommy," said the boy, "like it or not, believe it or not, I am God." Now, fortunately, Mommy had been to Hinduism class too. She said, "My second question to you, my boy, is who am I?" The boy had learned his lines well. He said, "Mommy, like it or not, believe it or not, you too are God." Mommy said, "We are making progress. You are baby God, I am mommy God." There's a third lesson in Hinduism which says that whenever baby goat goes around the house breaking plates deliberately, mommy goat has to do special worship ceremony of the baby goat. And the little chap was getting worried now. He said, "What worship?" She said, "To bring the baby goat near, turn him around and smack his bottom without leaving a mark, otherwise social service God will come." Why am I lightening up a very serious topic? It's not that you are special. Everybody is special. The terms of engagement remain. When the baby misbehaves, the mommy gives a little gentle smack. So even though everybody is essentially God, the terms of engagement are the same. If you are breaking banks, the policeman will block you up. So the terms of engagement remain, and yet you redefine humanity in a different way. You see, there is one vision called humanism which says you are the extension of the material kingdom. There is nothing more to you. The Hindus say no. The Hindus agree with Darwin, we are the extension of the animal kingdom. But they disagree with Dawkins, which says you are the extension of the material kingdom. The Hindus say there is something non-material that is manifesting itself through this physical frame, the spirit. This vision that I am promoting and successfully promoting is called spiritual humanism, in contrast to the Dawkins version of materialistic humanism. He says, "You're just matter, just neurons firing in your brain, there's nothing more to you." Hindus say nothing doing. There's something special about everyone. Every living thing is sparkling with something which is non-material. This is the foundation of the living kingdom. This is called spiritual humanism. And my challenge is this. I go in the media quite often. What I'm suggesting now in this small assembly will become mainstream teaching in the days to come. Recognizing the divinity and, if you like, the divinity of human beings. This is the essential teaching of Hinduism. It's called spiritual humanism. Now, as I'm building up, I'm slowly coming to the area of science to show you how this deeper vision of Hinduism kind of links so well and sits so well with the findings of cutting-edge discoveries of modern science. My background, you see, look, suppose I was a hippie saying, "Yeah, it's all kind of linked up, full flower power, I'll be no good." My background is physics from Imperial College, quantum physics under Sir Roger Penrose. These are the AAA people in this country teaching physics. And let me tell you about physics. Those of you who wish to study physics in days to come, out of all the sciences, physics is the most pretentious of all sciences. It says we have the answer to everything. When it comes to the nitty-gritty of reality, everybody, including the biologists, had to sit at the feet of the physicists to learn how the DNA sits well. How is it constructed? It is physics that answers the question of the nitty-gritty of reality. What is this all about? So when you look at the fabric of reality, you have to come to physics. Now, some of the ideas that I've been presenting to you in a light-hearted manner, taking you to a very quick journey of Hinduism, with the idea of religious pluralism and the idea of spiritual humanism. And now I enter the field of science itself. So what is science all about? But before I start, let me just lighten up a little bit. I go to lots and lots of schools. I must have gone to a few hundred schools. And I deal with sixth formers. I interact at various levels. And I ask youngsters, you may take your name as a Hindu or a Christian or a Jew, but if I have to pressurize you, put pressure on you, say, do you truly agree with that enterprise? When the youngsters are 16 plus, when they're 11, they say, yeah, I'm Hindu. When they're 16 or 17 or 18, they move away. They say religions appear to be suspect to us. Even though culturally we take our names as, if you like, this is the tradition we belong to, we cannot subscribe to what they are teaching. This is reality. In one grammar school, 90% of the youngsters put their hands up saying, we are either atheist or agnostic. This is reality. Because modern youngsters have been taught to challenge everything. And it is necessary for them to challenge the key ideas of religion without getting frightened. And I tell the youngsters I interact with, look, anything I dish out to you that does not agree with your own common sense, your own rationality, reject it, spit it out. If you start swallowing things that doesn't agree with your own common sense, you'll become disjointed in no time. Reject it. This is my challenge. Why are you worried? And this is, if you like, the lovely situations that we face. We have allowed the youngsters to think for themselves, and they are challenging central beliefs of religion. So when I ask these youngsters, are you religious? They say, no, we are not religious. So what are you? He said, we are spiritual. You say, you are spiritual? What does that mean? And they love the word, but when you say, can you explain to me what is spiritual? They kind of fidget about. But then they give me throw some words in my face. They say, spiritual means you kind of love other human beings. You love. It's the idea of falling in love. I say, is this spiritual? I say, yes, that's spiritual. And suppose I ask a 5-year-old boy, what do you mean by love? And the 5-year-old will say, that means you feel nice and warm. Sounds so nice. I said, that's love? You feel nice and warm? Yes. I said, in the winter month, I'll plonk in front of a radiator and you feel nice and warm. He said, I'm in love with the radiator. No, I didn't mean that. Suppose you ask somebody of your age, what do you mean by love? And of course, you will become a bit coy and say to yourself, I can't tell this chap. But love is that if that girl I met at the party will reply to my text message, surely that is love. Now let me tell you, chaps, it's mostly your hormones playing up, never mind. So what is love? You see, whenever you try and explore some of these meta terms that we come across in our casual language, it hides a spiritual underpinning, it hides a spiritual dimension. So the word spirit is very difficult to classify or encapsulate, but the kind of way we try and do it is through the word love. But the best way the Hindus define the word spirit, you may like it, is this. Suppose you wanted to define what is a living thing, and you talk to Richard Dawkins, you say, living thing is that reproduces. And you, of course, showing the mule, waving his tail, saying he doesn't reproduce. Is he dead? You say, no, I didn't mean that. Every time you try and encapsulate what is meant by a living thing, every definition falls short of the target. Try it. Suppose you say, living things are those things that consume and excrete. And I say, can you see all these big cars, 4-wheel drives? They consume much more than you and excrete much more than you. Are they living? Oh, no, then we didn't mean that. Every attempt fails. The Hindus define a living thing in a very unusual manner, fits well with modern biology. It says living things are those things that are not in compliance with the forces of nature, they are in defiance of it. They like to stand above it. They don't like to be pushed about. They like to harness nature rather than be pushed about by nature. What a lovely definition. Think about it. Even single cell bacteria, you try and prod it, it doesn't roll over dead. It goes, ouch, stop it. It reacts. There is something within all of us that does not like to be shackled, to be pushed about, to be buffeted by the forces of nature. You like to stand above it. This is the sign of humanity. Look, the ancient man used to cover in the caves when the thunderbolt struck. God sending messages. And he's become clever. He said, no. These are forces of nature. I can harness them, put them in wires and light up my homes. See, this is the sign of a living thing. You don't like to be buffeted by nature. You want to stand above nature, harness nature for your betterment. This is the sign of the spirit. It is not in compliance with forces of nature, it is in defiance of it. See how beautiful the definition is. This is what defines humanity. We don't like to be shackled. That's why we like to break free of every limitation. Do you know why you like Superman and Spider-Man and all that? That's what they do. They break free from the laws of nature. They fly. They see through walls. So we love that. See, the spirit links up with that. This is the sign of the living thing, spirit. So I'm just giving you kind of a brief background to what I'm now going to take you into, the realm of science. Now you may be surprised because what somehow people feel is that science is on the winning streak and religions are on the back foot, struggling and saying our God can only live in the gaps left by science, God of the gaps. And you immediately conjure up an image of brickwork with little cracks in the middle where poor God is saying, please leave me alone, let me sit here in the gaps. Now my friends, I'm a physicist and let me tidy up. In reality, the gaps that science has discovered are far bigger than the brickwork that they are talking about. The gaps are far bigger. The bricks are almost floating in air. You say, never knew that. I'm telling you, the scientist. Let me take you on this journey. As I said, the two most important aspects to modern physics are the discovery of the quantum. And it is through the integrity of science that physics is discovering something dramatically non-material in the world that we live in. This is the finding of modern physics. I'll give you a whole of quantum physics in a nutshell. This is what they're telling us. They're saying, chaps, this is the father of quantum mechanics, Erwin Schrödinger, saying, Frank, chaps, if you thought you can explain this creation in terms of sticks and stones, or smaller versions of sticks and stones, and these little atoms or elementary particles, then let me tidy up. What quantum physics is telling you in no uncertain term, the underpinning to this reality is not matter. It is not matter. Matter is a mere outer appearance. Physics. This is the whole of quantum physics in a nutshell. So you say, in that case, what language do you have to define the underpinning to this reality if it's not matter? We can just those atoms and elementary particles whizzing about. Oh, no, that's just appearance. Underpinning this reality is something which is only defined as non-material, guaranteed not to be matter. Matter is stodgy. The thing underpinning is very fluid and interconnected. This is the discovery of quantum, and you cannot put it aside. Quantum physics is more successful than the theory of gravitation, the theory of elementary particles, the theory of electromagnetism rolled into one and multiplied by a million. It's far more successful and almost impossible to explain conceptually. And this is why it is forcing the physicists to think beyond matter, to think outside the box, and they hate it. They hate it. Let me tell you a little story about the quantum. Now the quantum, little chap called Quantum, had three fathers. Now whenever you have any child with three fathers, you can be sure the child will be weird. And quantum is not an exception. The fathers are Niels Bohr, Werner Heisenberg, and Erwin Schrödinger. If you study, good names. Now they give birth to the quantum, and when the quantum was born, there was an uncle, very helpful uncle, who tried to help the quantum being born. But like any soap opera, the uncle became villainous. He tried to kill the poor little quantum. At every street corner he waited. If the quantum tried to cross the street, he would run him down. At every corner he tried to kill the poor little quantum. The uncle who was so helpful became villainous. Let me tell you the name of that uncle who was so upset by the quantum discovery. Albert Einstein. He could not think outside the material box. In terms, you must explain everything in terms of matter, or determined, fixed. This quantum phenomena flies in the face of determinism. So he was fighting the quantum till his dying day. He tried to destroy the idea of quantum. Every time he lost. There was debate all the time. And all the time Niels Bohr won and Einstein lost. It broke his heart. This is where we stand. We are standing, if you like, at a particular stage in physics where the paradigm of matter, the central idea around which all of physics is built, is now under severe challenge. Matter is a secondary phenomena. Underpinning matter is something dramatically non-material which the scientists struggle to define. So they come to me, and I'm a physicist, and I enjoy talking physics society, Oxford University and various other Imperial College. So what is underpinning to reality? If it's not matter, what underpins this? I said the best word that comes in our vocabulary is the word called spirit. Spirit, they say, Mr. Lakhani, how did spirit get into physics? The only spirit we believe in comes in bottles during Christmas time. And my answer to them is, my chaps, the spirit I am talking about has a greater kick than that spirit. The underpinning to this reality is not matter. Something dramatically non-material is manifesting itself, making its appearance in the material world. And whenever you see a living thing, that very underpinning is becoming more visible as something stirring up, living thing. And the clearest vision of the spirit, says the Hindu philosophy, is humanity. The very thing that is underpinning this world is making its appearance through this material frame, percolating through this mind and body and mind, and looking out through these eyes, the spirit. This is where, if you see the teachings of esoteric Hinduism or spiritual humanism, you are not matter. Something non-material is manifesting itself through this material frame, links up extremely closely with the teachings of modern physics. If there is no contradiction, we are fighting for words, and the word spirit is not embraced by physicists. They struggle, so be it. There's another area where again the word spirit becomes visible in modern science, and that is in neuroscience. You will be surprised, because neuroscience has made such dramatic discoveries. Every time you dream, they can do a CAT scan and decide which neurons are firing. They're so well equipped. They can literally see through your physical brain activity and how your thinking process activates certain part of the brain. What a lovely thing, how clever. And yet when you ask a physicist, ask a neuroscientist, is there any problem in neuroscience? They say, sure, we've got a big hole in neuroscience, big hole like the black hole. What's that? The issue of consciousness. We don't know where it comes from, which slice of the brain produces it, and what it's all about. It gives us, if you like, access to reality, and yet we have no idea what is this thing that we possess called consciousness. This is the hard problem of neuroscience. Again, you see how it links up with the teachings of Hinduism. So this is essential. That's what I said. The thing looking out through your eyes, shining out through your eyes, consciousness is the spirit. That's the definition of the spirit. And at one particular physics, at a particular scientific kind of meeting we had at the House of Lords, one scientist, Mr. Lakhani, we don't agree with you. It's all airy-fairy stuff. We don't like it. Consciousness is just nothing but a brain phenomena. It's a chemical and electromagnetic activity at the brain that produces the buzz that you call consciousness. There's nothing more to the consciousness. It's just a brain phenomena. Live with it, Mr. Lakhani. I said, no, I'm not. I said, let me tell you why it is not output of the brain, why it is not an epiphenomena of matter. They say, how? I give a simple metaphor. See the power of metaphor, but watch them, and philosophically they can be challenged. Suppose a young boy walks into the room and he discovers the dimmer switch and he starts playing with it. When you go one way, light goes off. The other way, the light comes on. The little chap will come to a conclusion that the switch is producing light. Just as a neuroscientist, a materialistic neuroscientist will say the brain phenomena produces consciousness. Because if I come and hit you with a hammer, means, destroy your brain, your consciousness will go. I told you it's a brain phenomena, I destroyed it. I said, no. Just as a little boy thinks the switch produces electricity, in the same way you think the brain produces consciousness. If you hit this, if somebody hits the switch, the light will go off. It doesn't mean it's destroyed electricity, because the switch was mere conduit of electricity. It did not produce electricity, it just allowed it to flow through, and you interfered with that. In the same way, see this brain? It is a conduit of consciousness. In the human brain, it allows the consciousness to flow through very clearly. So you are interfering with the switch. If you give me anesthetic or hit me in the head with a hammer, you just blown the switch. You not touched consciousness. Nothing to do with consciousness. So brain is merely a conduit, a switch through which consciousness flows. It does not produce. This is the finding of neuroscience. And I take this challenge into the science lobby. I say, here quantum physics is telling you blatantly, underpinning this reality is non-material. Matter is an external phenomena. Dig deeper regarding what is the nature of reality. It's your neuroscience saying the thing that underpins the living kingdom, this thing we call consciousness, is not something that's produced by matter, but uses matter to appear, make an appearance. understand that. So I'm taking the challenge back into the science lobby, and so far I have not been challenged. How does science react to this kind of challenges? In two ways. Check it out, whether it's Dawkins, whether it's Stephen Hawking, check it out. The two ways they use to try and fob off of this serious issue that arises in modern physics and modern art as follows. One, they will say, we have sorted everything out, in days to come we'll sort out the quantum too. In days to come we'll sort out what consciousness is about too, just give us time. Now you may think this is a good answer because we have sorted so many things, but this is not right, because it is saying you are drawing blank checks on the future. That's not a good answer. It's a cop-out. The second way the scientists try and get around these serious issues in modern physics and modern neuroscience and modern life sciences is to say, this is again a trick they use, and I really catch them out. I mean, Daniel Dennett is the best example. When you say Daniel Dennett, can you explain consciousness? He writes books and books on it. He gives lectures. You see, it's like the optical illusion. It just produces that feeling. There's nothing. It's just an illusion in the brain. He writes. If you look at his definition of consciousness, I have forgotten. It's so long-winded. You go to sleep halfway. What is the trick they use? They create a whole jungle of jargon, words, computer terminology, and throw it in your face. They want you to follow them in the jungle of jargon. They get lost, and they want you to get lost too. Say, see how clever I am. They will not answer the question. They just throw a whole string of words in your face. That doesn't mean they've explained it. So here sits two major phenomena in science: quantum physics, quantum, and consciousness. They both are very clearly pointing to a deeper dimension to this reality that we see in front of us. Don't underestimate who you are or what this world is all about. Underpinning this very stodgy, very disjointed world lies something dramatic that underpins the whole of this creation, that links up all of humanity. Look, do you know why this is such a powerful thought? Let me show you how I win this argument with the British. I have a tremendous interaction with the British Humanist Association. I have a tremendous dialogue with the chief philosopher, Peter Kale. I say, I'm going to shove you from materialistic humanism into spiritual humanism. You say, no, we won't. We like matter. I say, you're going to because the underpinning your matter has disappeared, says physics, and you still want to hang on to matter? Look deeper. So I'm having a real dialogue with them in a very robust manner, without any hesitation. This is what we need to see. We need to move away from this very limited way of thinking about the world. Just as you've got very pretentious people of religion, you've got very pretentious people in science to say, we have sorted everything out, like Stephen Hawking. Then a few years later, we'll never sort everything out. What's going on? See, zigzagging. When you are mature, you realize what science, through the integrative science, what we are discovering underpinning this reality is something so dramatic, something so exciting. And this is what the Hindus are promoting, idea that underpinning this world that appears so clear-cut, empirical, physical evidence, sense data, underpinning all that is something dramatically different, the spirit. What we are looking for as a God in heaven is underpinning to this reality. It becomes most clearly visible as humanity. Seeing and serving God in humanity, not just because you are accidents of evolution, but you are something more than matter. You are the spirit, my friend. You are that. This is the conclusion of Hinduism. And I'm telling you, the reconciliation required between a multitude of religious worldviews, as well as, if you like, this kind of science-oriented worldview, lies with what I'm telling you. This is the convergence. And this is where we are heading. So do not underestimate what the religions were teaching you. The ploy or the narrative they use is no longer relevant. That's why we are struggling with it. The idea of a theos in the heaven is difficult to digest. The idea of something special in humanity, lighting all of you up, that is digestible. This is where we stand. A transition from a personality-oriented religion to a principle-oriented religion, which will win the game. So there is a tremendous convergence in the making. And I promise you one thing, in the next 10 years, what I'm suggesting to you in this small lobby will become mainstream. You watch this. Thank you, my friends.
Thank you very much, Jay. Jay is more than willing to take questions now. There's no handheld microphone to make life easier. Do come to this back lectern, step right up and ask any questions you may have about that very stimulating lecture.
Please, come to the lecture.
Okay, thank you very much. It's really compelling. I'm finding it difficult to cope with the metaphor of word underpinning, because what you're proposing is something which is very malleable and unclear. Is that perhaps a better metaphor to help us understand what's going on?
Beautiful. You see, the thing is, whenever you have metaphor, always be ready to challenge philosophically. You should. This is very underpinning, and then how can that thing become this stodgy world? Look, the three issues that bother a quantum physicist, that's why it remains an enigma and difficult to conceptually understand what the quantum phenomenon is. The first is this one. They said the quantum level is purely a mathematical formulation. We understand the universe to the 10th degree, 10th decimal point, successful. That's how, all your gizmos, they work on the philosophy of quantum. Everything you got is quantum. DNA, your computer chips, everything is based on quantum. So the underpinning is incredibly good, incredibly perfect. And yet the question arises, what turns this very mathematically sound underpinning to this reality into the material world which is disjointed that we see around us? What flips it, if the right way? This is one of the quandaries, one of the big problems of quantum physics. It's called the wave collapse problem. How can something which is essentially mathematical and pure and pristine and clean suddenly flip into a material world which is disjointed? At quantum level, everything is connected with everything instantly. And yet at the material level, no, you require the speed of light to reach one elementary particle to another. What's going on? Why this disjoint? This remains not only enigma for philosophy, enigma for physics. This is the central issue. Because physics is now saying who flips it? Who the heck flips it? We have no clue, they say. That's why they're pulling their hair out. This is why this particular metaphor, even though it says underpinning, the way Hindu says, it says that it appears as the material world. It doesn't become the material, it just appears as the material world. But the appearance appears so attractive because different parts of the apparent world sit well with each other. And that's what we call the empirical world. So we have one pebble and then another pebble. We click them together and we hear this nice resounding sound, click, click. It's empirical evidence, science. All you've done is one part of the appearance is in a way sitting well with another part of the appearance, like this clicking sound. He said, this is my world. But quantum says, no, the world underneath is different. So it remains an enigma, and there is no easy way. How does this mathematical reality turn into this material world, says quantum physics, and not a single physicist has given an answer. This is not something new. Richard Feynman, a very famous physicist, used to go to every university, deliberately poke the physicists. They said, chaps, you got the mathematical formulation for quantum. Tell me, what is it all about? Not a single hand would ever go up. I'm telling you, I don't know. How it flips, nobody knows. But this is the world that we face. So underpinning is always going to be, how does this underpinning become this material world? This is disjointed. At the quantum level, what happens? There are two little phenomena at the quantum level. When you part them, they part company, and one goes a billion light years away, you press one little elementary particle, the other one goes, ouch, instantly. This is called quantum entanglement. The underpinning to this reality is strongly interconnected. And this is the idea of the spirit. It's a beautiful question. I'll take some more questions. Please ask me. Please feel free to ask me questions. Elephant-headed goats, whatever, please do ask.
Don't be shy. Come round the back. Or just be bold and in your seat, put your hand up, stand up and ask your question loudly.
Yes, madam.
All right, you talked about the quantum underpinning the material world. Coming from a physical perspective, how do you tap into the quantum?
Okay, this is what they've done. Yes, I'll repeat the question. She's saying, how can this material world, in a way, somehow allow us to think of a non-material underpinning? How did it happen? This is how it happened. In the early in the middle of 1915 in fact, they discovered the quantum phenomena for the first time. First they thought it's a fuzz in the way we see the world, and we'll get over it. Later on they discovered it's not a fuzz in the way we observe the world. In reality, the physical world that we are so sure about is not a reality, it's an appearance. And this was a dramatic, that's why Einstein was pulling his hair out, because he didn't like that. Because he was thinking purely in material terms. So the matter of the materialist disappeared in the middle of 1950s. And that has not been sorted out up to now. The physicists struggle with the phenomena, and I'm guaranteeing you, there's no physicist I've come across who put his hand and say, I know what the quantum phenomena is. I'm telling you from the Hindu perspective, it is reflecting this idea there's a deeper dimension to reality, which is something non-material, not stodgy, highly joined up. And this is the idea of the spirit that the religions were talking about. Let me explore this a little bit more. This is my particular take on it, but see how you understand. Every spiritual giant, every prophet, every mystic of every religion had an encounter of the first kind. They encountered something that dramatically changed their lives. They turned into prophets. Everyone, every mystic, Sufi mystics or Hindu mystics or Christian mystic, they hit the jackpot. They had a spiritual experience. So far, so good. But when they try and give expression to this experience, they get into trouble. The experience is transcendent, defies any vocabulary, and yet it's wow experience. And yet when they try and put it in words, the mindset with which they work comes into play. It cannot be otherwise. So Jesus goes into the wilderness, he comes back a changed man. And we say, what happened? He said, I encountered the Father in heaven. See the vocabulary? This is the mindset that he possessed and the people that he was interacting with. It cannot be otherwise. He had to produce a super personality to express the idea of spirit as underpinning to this reality. But he touched the base with it. When Buddha sits under the Bodhi tree and says, I'm enlightened, no Father in heaven, I'm enlightened. So what's that? Same experience, different expression. So the reason why you have a variety of different, if you like, religious expression on this world is not because they are talking of different things. At the experiential level, they hit the same jackpot. The moment they open their mouth to give expression, a variation takes place, inevitable. They reflect different time frames, different historic periods, different cultures. So the different material comes out. Same experience, different expression. This is the reconciliation at the deeper level regarding multitude of world religions. So far you say, okay, religions can sit side by side, so be it. But this is what physics is now telling you. Underpinning to this reality is dramatically dynamic, mind-blowing. These are the words they will use. And this is why they are touching base to the integrity of science itself. We are rediscovering what the prophets discovered in terms of spiritual experience. Look, do you know how vast this idea is? It says, if you take on any endearing human enterprise, say like art or music or dance or drama or poetry or literature, that makes you one-pointed and you get a thrill. And suppose I say, do you know why you're getting the thrill? Through that particular enterprise, through dance, drama, music, literature, poetry, you become one-pointed. And through that process, you touch base with underpinning to this reality and your own reality, spirit. That's why you get a thrill. That's why you say, I love it. So I tell the youngsters, look, suppose you say, I don't want to believe in religions at all. I want to become spiritual without reference to a religion. I say, go for it, my friends, go for it. Every enterprise that makes you feel more empowered, stronger about yourself, that gives you a thrill, makes you one-pointed, which is disciplined. Remember the word disciplined is in a way allowing you to get a deeper glimpse in the nature of reality, including your own being. It's a spirit, my friends. That's why you get the thrill. That's the real thing that we are searching for, not some external thing, but the thing that's within us. We want to rediscover the spirit within us. And I'm telling you, through the integrity of, look, the reason why I can be a scientist and talk of spirituality at the same time is because the thrill I get from studying physics and quantum mechanics gives me the thrill of my life. I say, yeah, this is it. Rediscovering this through the integrity of physics itself. Physics is pointing dramatically at a non-spiritual, non-material dimension of this reality. And the scientists may struggle. They want to work within the box. They can't literally get out of the box, the physical box. Saying there is much more than the physical world. Again, you see, you may say, Mr. Lakhani, you're talking all this nice waffly stuff, nice, kind of floaty stuff. Let me tell you, The proof of the pudding is in the eating. If you encounter it through any enterprise, through music, suppose you get a thrill, you are experiencing what the prophets are experiencing, but you're getting a glimpse of it, you're getting a free sample of the Spirit. So every enterprise you take on, which makes you one-pointed and empowered, is giving you a glimpse of what the physicists are talking about, underpinning to this reality. So it is not something just reserved for physicists doing quantum mechanics equations. It is for whole of humanity to experience. And the proof of the pudding about the word Spirit is you need to encounter it for yourself to truly believe in it. I'll take some more questions. Yes.
In the overall, is everything in the material world connected to the non-material world, or only living things connected to it?
Okay, beautiful question. You see, the Hindu philosophy says this. Take it as you.
Yes, sir. Repeat the question.
Yes, the question is, how is the link between material and non-material world? Is it just with the material world that the spirit is, with the living thing the spirit is linked, or is it linked with the material world? It is linked at every level. It cannot be otherwise. It's underpinning to whole of reality. At the first level, this thing that we call spirit, if I can use the word, appears or manifests as the material world. In the material world, wherever you see a living thing buzzing, a bacteria beginning to appear, a single cell being, here the spirit is managing to break through more easily, become more visible. And then this particular process continues through evolution until we hit the human stage, where the spirit is most visible. This is the teaching of esoteric Hinduism. The clearest vision of God is not in the heaven, it is humanity. The person sitting in front of you is reflecting God in the most clearest, most transparent manner. So there is a hierarchy. The material world is the first manifestation, the living kingdom is the second, and humanity is the highest manifestation of the Spirit. Seeing and serving God in humanity. And this is in stark contrast with materialistic humanism, which comes with Dawkins. Let me crack a bit of humor. How do you distinguish a materialistic humanist from a spiritual humanist? I had a debate at House of Commons. The way is very simple. You see, a material humanist will say, why should you do good to others? It's a very simple, it's a golden rule. I don't step on your toes, you don't step on my toes. I don't steal from you, you don't steal from me. That's why we look at it. This is the basis of ethics in humanism. This is materialistic humanism. The spiritual humanist comes with a different prescription. Do you know why I don't steal from you? Why I help you? With the same spirit that is percolating through these eyes is percolating through those eyes. I'm stuck with you. The same spirit is manifesting in all these forms. It's not because there's somebody keeping a score, I'm doing business with you. It's because I see myself reflected in you. That is why I help you. That's why I don't hurt you. This is spiritual humanism in contrast to materialistic humanism. At the House of Commons I say, look, do you know how to distinguish a spiritual humanist from a material humanist? Very easy. When you meet a spiritual humanist, his face will light up. He will smile. He likes you. Do you know why? He sees himself reflected in you. So he lights up. When you meet a materialistic humanist, and you know who I'm talking about, his face is all screwed up. He's intense. He's got a constipated look. Time for business. I don't step on your toes, you don't step on my toes. I don't steal from you. See the difference? This is how you distinguish a spiritual humanist. He lights up with humanity. He sees himself reflected in the human beings. A materialist humanist can, at the best, do commerce with you, do business with you. That's very limited. I think I should finish with this. Thank you, my friends. Excuse me, before I go, I wish to make a presentation of this book that's written by my daughter Sita on Hinduism with some of these esoteric ideas of spiritual humanism and religious pluralism. I leave it for the library and I present it to Tim as a special present. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Very special thanks to Jay indeed. He's left us with so much to think about. I love his opening story about why we should embrace interreligious pluralism. Everybody's money is important to them. What's interesting though is I really like the way Jay's mummy cooks, to the extent that we're about to go for a curry. So I beg your indulgence for that brief little sample of my humor, which doesn't compare to Jay's. Once again, Jay, thank you very much.
Real pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh no, mate. 2 minutes in.